battery you got going on that thing? Battery going on this side.
Trapped in here. Alright, we just got one of them out.
LOUIESAMUDIO.
Okay, and where are we and what's happening?
On Reno Street, 3rd and Reno, and there was a fire started. I guess there was a house right there that was already. It started a fire a few months ago, and there was some like homeless in there, and they started the fire again and stuff, you know. And then it just like went out of control and stuff. Because I was actually sitting right there when I seen the guy come outside, but I didn't, recognize. I didn't think nothing was going on. And then like he jammed, he went that way, and then a few minutes later, it started like just erupted. Because I was sitting right there and I seen it, I just left from there because I thought they were gonna try to blame me, And then, but I ran over here to to tell people, that the fire people over here too. They were they're outside, and they were yelling fire, fire, But I kind of hurt. I couldn't, could only do so much, And then I just like backed off because it was intense, it was intense and stuff.
Yeah. So what was your initial thought when you saw the flames?
Oh, I said, well, because my friend, he lives in that building. I was waiting for him to come home, but he never arrived. He don't even know what's happening, And I just, because he lives in the back over there from the first fire, and his apartment got like all the soot, all the smoke and stuff damaged. And now I think it caught on fire now because the two buildings on the side, each side caught on fire, From the one house in the middle was the old house,
So you actually saw someone come out. What did he look like?
Just like a little short Mexican, It was, I heard it in there and I just minding my own business. But when he came out, he just like said something, and I just like, didn't pay attention. He just walked and turned right here down the street, and then like a few minutes after, that's when I started noticing, and somebody else was in there because I still heard noise, and then I seen the fire, and next thing you know, like erupted. I think they were spreading gas, and that's what I think, that's what I think, that's what I tell myself, So it was like set up or something,
And what did you do to help out? I mean, you said that you went door to door. Or
I went up there as far as I could go because I know one of the guys that lives there too, and he's out here somewhere. I think he's over there. But I just started yelling, "Hey, fire, fire!" But people, it was already like 1 o'clock. It was 1 o'clock, like 1:15 it started, and then I just like knocking on doors, and I could only go so much because my back hurts, and I just came back out, and other people over here were yelling fire, fire, and they ran to that building because my friend lives in that building, but I was over here, where it was like bigger the fire, but it was big, it was big.
Buy it from you. Let's can it.
It's Captain Cody Weyereter, CODYWEIRETER, Public Information Officer with the Los Angeles City Fire Department. So just after 1 o'clock this morning, the Los Angeles City Fire Department responded to the 200 block of South Reno Street here in the Westlake District for reported structure fire. Multiple calls were coming into our 911 center for a large fire that is now, as you can see behind me, has impacted multiple buildings. Firefighters arrived on scene to find a two-story vacant home well involved in fire that was exposed to both the north and south side apartment complexes. We had just over 150 firefighters on scene that were able to knock down the blaze in just over an hour. However, with that, extensive damage did occur throughout. In total, between the two apartment complexes, over 80 units were actually impacted, whether it be fire impingement or smoke. So with that, we're now in the process of trying to rehouse folks on the north side of the fire but unfortunately we're running into a gas leak problem. That was one of our challenges firefighters faced while trying to extinguish the flames that was fueled by natural gas. The exposure at the apartment building to the south of the actual structure fire itself, unfortunately, is going to be uninhabitable. We're working with our partners with Red Cross right now, working on getting shelter for roughly about 8 to 15 people. One resident was assessed on scene and was treated by paramedics here, but was released on scene and was not transported. Fortunately, no injuries to our firefighters occurred, and we're going to remain on scene throughout the evening and the early morning hours. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We have our arson counterterrorism section that's going to arrive on scene here shortly and start to determine what the circumstances were surrounding the fire. So one of our biggest concerns, especially with a fire like this, because we've got multiple units involved, that's going to be a large commitment of our firefighters starting to do that search and rescue operation. Firefighters made their way through the first and second floor of both apartment complexes and determined we didn't have anybody trapped. We were able to safely remove them from the building and then get them to an area away from the actual danger. The apartment building south of the actual structure fire, try it again. The apartment building just south of the actual fire unit where the origin of the fire started looks about 20 units, and with those 20 units, 8 were actually impacted. Unfortunately, it's uninhabitable at this point because both floors were impacted by fire or smoke. The utilities have been cut off, and we're now working on getting shelter for those individuals who've been displaced. The exposure building to the north, the 2-story apartment complex, had about 66 units in total. With those 66 units, firefighters were able to confine the damage to only 5 units.
And so the total amount of people displaced?
So at this point, we are working with both apartment complexes to determine how many people are actually going to be displaced and how many are going to need shelter. We're looking at a number of just over approximately 50 people. Hopefully we're able to narrow that number down and be able to get those services to those residents immediately.
And the person with smoke inhalation, were they transported or not?
Sorry, so what little information I got, so I'll go with this. I don't know, male, female, dog, or cat, unfortunately. Never got transported though. Fortunately, on scene, we did have one individual, one resident that was treated and by paramedics here on scene and released and did not require transport to a hospital.
And I apologize, I'm just beginning. Did it start in a vacant building? Is that what we're...
Correct.
Okay.
So the original fire unit was a 2-story vacant home that was in between 2 apartment complexes. The origin of the fire, we determined that was in that vacant home, and immediately started to extend fire to both sides of the either side of the fire building to those apartments.
Did the smoke alarms go off, or what alerted people or firefighters? Or
I don't have that information yet. Yeah, they're going off in there. I know that. I walked through the whole thing. So yeah, they are going off. But apparently they had multiple callers, so I'm not sure exactly how the initial alerting got done. You guys got here really fast. I normally have a lot more notes. They're a lot cleaner.
this works for us?
There were some residents from this southern apartment saying that this fire may have been started by a possible transient. Do you have any details on that? Is it suspicious at all?
Okay, so I'll go with a positive. So, even though we have multiple reports on scene from different potential causes, unfortunately, it's just too early to speculate what the root cause of the fire actually is. With our arson counterterrorism section, they're going to arrive on scene. Those investigators are going to start to interview witnesses, kind of go through any kind of camera footage they may have, and go through the evidence to really determine what the circumstances were surrounding this fire.